Mr. Puffer has served as a professor of communication at Coker College from January 2000 to May 2016. He is currently executive director of the Byerly Foundation, a position he has held since 2000, and he has held a number of other positions within the Hartsville community, including roles at the Hartsville Messenger and Sunoco, as well as board memberships with the Darlington County School District, the Hartsville United Way, and the Greater Hartsville Chamber of Commerce. He is a graduate of the State University of New York at Cortland and went on to earn his graduate degree at the University of South Carolina. He also served in the United States Marine Corps and is a Vietnam veteran. He has been recognized as Hartsville's Citizen of the Year by the Hartsville Rotary Club, and during his time at Coker, the student body awarded him the title of Master Professor. Most days you can find him serving the people of Hartsville, working hand in hand with one of the many organizations supported by the Byerly Foundation. But this morning, he is here with us, sharing his wisdom with our graduates at this milestone in your lives. Please join me in welcoming your commencement speaker, Professor Emeritus and Executive Director of the Byerly Foundation, Dick Puffer.
Hoorah! A few weeks ago, days after I was given this really fabulous opportunity to deliver the commencement address, a photo appeared on my Facebook page of an obviously joyful Angela Johnson. Angela said in the photo, "I'm heading to Texas to reunite a baby with her mother." Angela, like so many Coker alumni students and staff, is using her passions and her expertise to change lives. Today, I'm trying to make it my mission to enlist you in the ongoing battle to build common good and to make life better across our world. Vice Chairman Seegers, Dr. Wyatt, Platform Party, colleagues, parents, friends, but most importantly, you graduates. It is a joy and honor for me to be here today. It's more than I can ever express. Back in 1968, when I was where you are right now, dressed in my Marine Corps dress white uniform, I never envisioned myself giving a commencement address. I've had lots of surprises since my graduation, and the one thing I can guarantee all of you is that you're going to be surprised and surprised and surprised throughout your journeys as they unfold. Today, we celebrate your accomplishments, and I hope that celebration reflects the sacrifice, effort, and investment that has gone into your quest for the degree. I hope the celebration is fun, memorable, and shared with those who help you to this achievement. But your celebration is going to be relatively short-lived because today is not a finale. Today is a commencement. It is a new beginning. Today, as you're going to be receiving your diploma, you're going to be crossing what we in the Corps might have called the line of departure. And as you cross that LOD, I am going to be calling you to action, as I was called to action by the first president who had any real impact on me. And that was John F. Kennedy in his famous 1961 inaugural address. Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. I'm pretty certain that in 1968, that call is why I was graduating as a Marine lieutenant. Your community, no matter where in the world it might be, needs you. Our world needs your participation in continuing to build more solid, inclusive communities from neighborhoods to nations. Most college graduates are going to be walking across the stage and they're going to be asking, what's in it for me? Many are going to be measuring their success by the number of digits in their salaries or the prestige of their future positions. Hear this, that's perfectly fine. I want you to hear this. All of us who told you to come back and get your degrees told you to come back and get your degrees for those kinds of reasons. Three major reasons jump out to me: to make you more competitive in the workplace, to build larger lifetime incomes, and to create better lives for you and your families. Hoorah! Go out and get that done. We all need you to make that happen. But today I am urging you to begin planning to do a lot more. I'm urging you to mindfully engage. I'm going to repeat that one. I'm urging you to mindfully engage in working to build a better world. There are some signs that the disengagement we have been seeing for the last several decades is beginning to end. We are seeing more people begin to get involved in social discourse. We need for you all to make that a real trend. Our world needs re-engagement to be a real trend, because to have a better world, we need more people like you who will look outward to see what ways they can work to shape this better world. It's not easy, but it is doable. With the press of finding jobs, working jobs, building families, expanding careers, it can seem like adding community building is way too much to ask. This morning, I'm going to be sharing some stories with you that in fact show that re-engagement is doable, most important, meaningful. Coker grads around the world and right here in Hartsville are providing excellent examples. Quite honestly, I wish we had time for a lot more. I had to get rid of a lot for this speech. One of the tactics that many people are using to get into that mystical change that they hope to see in the world is something that I call the sweet spot. Definition for today: the sweet spot is where your passion intertwines with community needs. Back in 2005, Angela Johnson was where you are today. She was wondering how she was going to make it in the world. She was wondering how she was going to make her difference in the world. For Angela, that sweet spot comes with her work as a child advocate. She observed recently, I paused because she observed recently in a conversation that we had how many of the children she works with right now still need adoption. But Angela's on the case, and she is helping to expand our common good. In so many ways, arts bring out what are the best in community. And I can tell you story after story after story of Coker people whose passion is the arts and what they do with the community. But since we only have a little bit of time, go back with me a few months ago when I was in the Crema coffee shop. And in the coffee shop, I looked over and I saw Dustin Morey, class of 2014. And Dustin was absolutely, totally engrossed. He had his earphones on. He had his computer in front of him. He had, I think, a straw that he was doing some conducting. He was translating a musical score for a community theater production that he was a musical director for, practicing to make sure that he got it right. By day, Dustin is an elementary music school teacher. But to build community, his sweet spot is one performance at a time. Back in 2008, Elsie Mafuka left Coker as a graduate and went almost immediately to South Africa. And when she came home from South Africa, she came home to build a dance company called Mafuka Dance Company. And today, Mafuka Dance Company is headquartered up in Charlotte. It's a dance performing, dance education company that is inspiring cultural awareness in Charlotte using dance as the vehicle. What a fantastic idea Elsie had for building community by fulfilling her passion. Many of you know that Coker grads get an awful lot of their passion in athletics. Back in 2006, Tyson Thompson was a Coker tennis player, and after he left Coker, he started working with tennis organizations in North Carolina, in Australia, and today it's in the Midwest. And he's building community by building youth tennis programs, one program at a time, getting youth involved in the sport of tennis. Dwayne Crankfield, 2011 graduate of Coker, is an entrepreneur. He's also a teacher, and he finds time to coach soccer down in the Charleston area. I often see on social media Dwayne extolling the virtues of his young soccer team and what they are doing. Dwayne is working all three of his passions to help build community. Dr. Mandy Warner is today getting her PhD at Southern Illinois University. But when she was working on all of her when she wasn't working on all of her PhD things, she would do some long distance running, lots of marathons, for example, and she did them to help fundraising for charities like the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. How many people do you know who are making a difference in the world through their sport, through their art, through their faith? While I'm talking, I hope you're inserting a lot of your own ideas. In nearly every meeting that I'm involved in the community, education comes up at the top of the agenda because it is such a fundamental building block to making strong communities. Education is one of the fundamental requirements of a strong community, and many Coker-trained educators are using their sweet spot for education as their means of being engaged civically. For example, Mary Woodward, 1998 Coker education grad, was just named one of the top 5 teachers in the state of South Carolina. She's not only a superior classroom teacher, she spends much of her time as an ardent spokesperson for the value of education as a community building block. My wife Sylvia graduated from Coker as a piano major and became a top-notch school music teacher. I am amazed on an almost weekly basis when we're out at a restaurant or in a store, someone will come up and exclaim, "Ms. McLam, do you remember me? And do you remember when you taught me?" Name a song. The point of that is good teachers make a lifetime difference. In April of this year, Cyclone Debbie hit the Gold Coast of Queensland, Australia. Erin Earle, a 2003 Coker graduate, has become one of her country's heroes. As a volunteer, she was running governmental and non-governmental organizations in the immediate efforts to save people, and since then in the recovery efforts. The other day we were chatting, and Erin told me it's going to take about 3 years for the Gold Coast to recover from Cyclone Debbie. I mention that because disasters are realities in almost all communities all over the world. You may find that being part of recovery teams would be one of your ways to become civically engaged. Sometimes change feels elusive. Our society is particularly preoccupied by negative changes. If we're not careful, we too are going to only see the negative. So let me urge you that throughout your journeys, start being amazed at the positive changes that can be made. I know, and I've had a fairly long journey, that the changes that I have witnessed have been absolutely astonishing. Back in 1971, when I came to South Carolina as a school teacher, it was the second year that black children and white children were in school together. Look around now. Back in 1971, South Africa was 2 separate countries. in the early 1990s, apartheid became history. Are things perfect in either of those areas right now? Of course not, but they provide the perfect platform for me to tell you that we need you participating to help us continue moving forward to make these positive changes happen. Back in 1968, 49 years ago, when I was where you are today, more than half of the graduates were female. And 90% of those graduates, among the smartest women in New York State, had two career choices. Most of the graduates at my school were going to be teachers. Other graduates that year were going to be nurses. Essentially two career choices. Today, is that the case? It certainly is no longer the case, and that is one of those astonishing changes. Are we gender equal yet? And those of you who care about that particular subject know there's no way that we are gender equal yet, but we are moving in certain directions. And Caitlin Short, 2013 graduate of Coker, is now Lieutenant Caitlin Short, and she's in the second half of her pilot training as an Air Force pilot. Back in the 1970s, there was a piece of legislation that was called Title IX. And for you athletes who have been at Coker for 4 years, I want you to know you're standing on the shoulders of some giants because of Title IX, one of those giants being Pat Hewitt. Pat graduated from Coker in 1969, immediately started a coaching career, and she immediately started to find ways to implement the different kinds of rules that were coming down with Title IX, making female sports a little more equal with male sports. Coach Hewitt has spent a lifetime extolling the benefits of the inclusion that Title IX has provided for our entire culture. Over the past 4 months or so, I have had the pleasure of reading a blog by Madison Bingle, class of 2018. She has been serving her own education by focusing on the continuing ravages of Agent Orange in Vietnam. After my college graduation, when I served as a Marine in Vietnam, I might have had some kind of sense that there was beauty in that country. But I was at war. I had lost Marines. I had been wounded. For me, Vietnam was only deadly and scary. So I want to tell you, astonishing change happens on a personal and on a global basis. Because just a few weeks ago, I found myself chilled and warmed as I read Madison's blog called I Love Vietnam. I was surprised to survive my Vietnam experience, and I think Madison is surprised at how much she is thriving from her Vietnam experience. But it takes people working hard all the time to make this kind of change happen and to help things get better. That's where you come in. Much of my life's work has been to keep conversations going and moving in all communities. And part of that work has been trying to include more voices in the discussion. Initially, you all might find that your voice is going to be needed as a Sunday school teacher, or maybe as a youth lacrosse coach, or maybe as a community lawyer, or maybe as an outstanding college professor. But then someday it might happen that you find that you might need to insert your voice at a little bit of a different level, a little bit of that level of civic engagement that we call politics. Crystal Cunningham, class of 2011, did that in 2016 as she ran for the State House of Representatives in Lee County. Chauncey Barnwell, class of 2006, is a Low Country lawyer, and in 2016 he ran for the State Senate, primarily to honor the memory of Senator Clementa Pinckney. We need integrity in local, state, and national politics. We need more voices in politics. Maybe someday you are going to feel that call. And all of you graduating today, if you happen to feel that call, will have had a great role model in Professor Mal Hyman. Professor Hyman has been a community activist his entire life. But in 2016, he decided he needed to take his voice and his message to a new level. He ran for Congress against an incumbent congressman. He lost. But today, the congressional district has many, many more voices and is talking about lots more topics than we have ever talked about before. This one you got to listen to just a little bit, because one of the major obstacles to community building is a refusal to extend ourselves beyond our own internal worlds. As you prepare to mindfully join the effort for community building, please realize how crucial it is to hear and to listen to the voices of others. Those others are going to be people that you haven't met. Very often, they're going to be people with whom you have absolutely no agreement on a worldview. But if we're going to be doing community building and making a better world, we have to listen to each other. We have to look outward. It is difficult for most of us to want to see things from the perspective of others. In truth, it is real difficult to get past ourselves. Donald Quist, a 2006 graduate of Coker College and currently an adjunct professor here at Coker, has been striving his entire life to figure out how other people look at the world. And he's been using his profession as an author to help others see some of that. In his most recent book, Harbors, readers are given the opportunity to see everyday life from the perspective of lots and lots of everyday people that you might not have known. Donnie has found numerous ways to boost the common good here in Hartsville, in the States, and in Thailand. And he's also found ways to boost that common good as an author. He's a writer who connects with readers, helping us see and feel beyond ourselves. As you move forward into this battle for community building, you're going to be facing a question. Are you going to be brave enough to stand together with others amid all of this stuff that is separating us, to confront and find the solutions to the obstacles that are holding us back, so that with faith we really can create something better? I'm calling on you to be brave, have faith, engage. Congratulations on crossing the line of departure. Hoorah!